Just few days back, I was speaking to an old friend, a classmate while I was in school, and we were teasing each other. And then he said something like, "I wonder what your life would have been like in school if you had not met me." And even if I know he was teasing me at that moment, I knew what he said was absolutely correct. And immediately I said, "You are absolutely correct," because I don't know what I would have turned out to be. I don't know what it would have been like if I had not met him. Because, in fact, I didn't know what I was doing in school in the first 2 years in the university. I got into the university with the secondary school knowledge, thinking I'm still in secondary school. I can just read few books and then pass my exams, and that is it. But I was doing so bad. But thankfully, I met this friend that made me see that I can do so much more than I am doing at the moment. And I'm grateful to that friend. And I will continue to be so grateful to him because he brought me out of my misery. I would say I can remember him saying so many times, "You can do this. I know you. You're a smart girl. You can do this thing. You're just holding yourself back." And because I had someone that believed in me, it was easier for me to accomplish a lot while I was in school. Welcome to my podcast today. If this is your first time of joining, you're welcome. In this podcast, we talk about God, personal development, how to develop a growth mindset, talent management, knowledge creation, book review. If you find this helpful, please share this to other people to listen also. Now back to my story. Why am I talking about this thing? It's because I want to talk about a very important thing today, which is personal development. I'm going to start with another story. After my national service, I started working, and I worked for about 3 years. I had colleagues, obviously, and we all were working with the computer. And let me just assume that before some of my colleagues started working, they didn't have any knowledge about computer. But you would imagine, or you would think that in the space of 2-3 years, they should have like mastered a certain level of computer usage, right? I think that is like common knowledge. I thought rather that that's like common knowledge, that if they've been using a computer to work for 2-3 years, they should be familiar with it by now. But that was not actually the case, because when I eventually stopped working, I had to ask assistance from a colleague to help me copy my files from my computer in the office. But lo and behold, I had to do a video call directing her on what to do, where to go, what to click, even as much as to clear like browsing history in my computer. She couldn't do that. And I won't lie, I didn't find that funny, because this is someone that has been working with the computer for 2 years, and I was expecting at this point she should be able to like confidently handle the computer by herself without any struggle. But it didn't happen that way. She literally struggled, and in fact I lost some important files because of that, because according to her, she copied the files, she went to her office, she wanted to do this, she wanted to do that, she lost my files. And I had to retrieve some, but you can't retrieve some online. Like, there are ways to retrieve files from Flash, but I just couldn't retrieve all of it. But I was grateful I retrieved some of it. So yeah, why am I talking about this? Is because I want to draw attention to personal development. A lot of persons these days are just comfortable with what they have. Well, some people will say they are okay, they don't want to be greedy and all of that. Well, it's that excuse makes sense, but because of the story I said about my classmate, after I met him, things took another turn in my life. I became more focused in school, and I drew more closer to him because at that moment I figured that it's somebody that could or that can help me at that point in my life. And after I became closer to him, I found out that there is so much about myself that I've not even utilized yet. There's so much about myself that I have not come to knowledge about. And I figured out that I can do so much more that I can do that I was doing at that moment. So even if I didn't go all out for personal development because I was in school, I know once in a while I read books. I was not big on YouTube then. I was just big on books. I read few books while I was in school, but then it was not really like I wanted to develop myself. I just wanted to okay, people are saying read books, okay, let me read books. I was doing that basically because people suggested you have to read books. But after I was done with school, I knew that just having a BSc wasn't enough, and I knew that I'm not someone that wants to be in the midst of people, and I'm clueless about that. This is my own driving force to the personal development. Every other person, I think everybody have one reason or the other why they want to develop themselves. But as for me, one of the reasons is that I don't want to be amongst people and I'm clueless. Like they are talking about something and I'm clueless. Even if it's about medicine that I have absolutely no knowledge about, I didn't do any, I'm not a science student. I try to read or watch videos about things I would say common things, even if they're not that common. After I left school, YouTube became my best friend. I think the owner of YouTube or the creator of YouTube made so much money from me that after I left school, because that was the only source of knowledge I could lay my hands on then. And because I was working, I didn't have the luxury of reading books always, so audio or sound worked well for me. Most of the books I read then were audiobooks. I watched a lot of YouTube videos because you can literally be playing a video in the background with your earpiece or AirPod while you're working. There is no distraction. You can actually listen while you're doing other things. YouTube became my companion. Now, why personal development? In as much as we are in the world is evolving. The world is literally changing every day, and you don't want to be stuck with the knowledge of 2005 while you are in 2023. It doesn't just make sense. Even if in 2005 you graduated as the best graduating student in your department, if that's the only knowledge you have, you might not be useful anymore. Nobody might even want to reach out to you for knowledge because you are outdated. You're literally outdated. That is why personal development is very important. I used to tell my friends, I used to tell myself especially, that where I was last week, I don't want to be the same place this week. Let it be that in this week something extra has been added to me. That's I'm very passionate about personal development, and that's because I've had to deal with some personal issues about myself. I don't think I would have gone through that if I'd had someone that told me that, girl, you are so much more than this. Develop yourself. Read books. If I had someone like that, probably I would have not even done the course I did in school. Maybe I would have even lived a different life in school. Maybe I would have not just relied on my secondary school knowledge. Maybe I would have done so much more. But because I didn't have anybody telling me all of these things, I didn't have anybody pushing me. Neither was it so much of a topic then that you need to develop yourself. Everybody was just all about finish your secondary school, go to the university, graduate, and look for a job. And that was the knowledge I had growing up. Not until I finished school and I figured that I can be much more. It is okay. I was speaking to my youth. I think I keep referencing to my youth a lot. But I was speaking in church one of the days, and I told them that what makes you different is the skills, or what makes you different from your peers that you graduate with is your skills. Because if two CVs are submitted, maybe you and your classmates, you guys are two CVs are submitted, they will look and they see that the academic qualification is the same school and all of that. One thing that might differentiate one person from the other is the skills that you've gained over the years. Okay, so let's say, for example, I finished school, maybe I studied engineering, or let me use what's engineering? I'm not very familiar with engineering fields. Civil. Okay, yeah, I did civil and I graduated from the university. Then my classmates went ahead to do a certification program. After that, he went ahead to do some online courses. He keeps reading books. Aside from even school-related certifications, he took courses on leadership. He even took courses on what's it called? SDGs and all of that. Like, he is now very, very knowledgeable compared to me that just have my certificate. Now, just imagine we both go to look for a job. What do you think might be like an ideal candidate? It's obviously the one that has gone extra mile to do things for himself, because now, aside from what he learned in school, he's now much more better than I am. I think if they even placed both of us, he would speak much better. And one of the things that developing yourself does is that it boosts your confidence. Because when you're among people, you're confident that no matter what they say, you can actually contribute to the conversation. But when you're not developing yourself, when you're not reading books, when you're not attending seminars, when you're not watching videos online, or even listening to podcasts, when you find yourself among peers or people that you feel are higher than you, trust me, your confidence will be so down that in your heart you'll be praying that at no point they should remember that you are there to even ask you a question, because you don't even trust in your ability to say anything meaningful. But it's not like personal development will make you become the most smart person in the room, but it's going to give this level of confidence. Even if you're asked to speak, maybe you don't even know about that topic, you can actually maneuver your way. For example, they say you should talk about how to start a fish farm. Probably you've not even read anything about a fish farm before. You don't even know how to start a fish farm. But you can actually just talk about business in general. Like, okay, I don't know so much about fish farming, but I know about business, and I know that if I know that I can probably coach you on the business aspect of a fish farm. You can even start talking about business at that moment. Okay, so when you start your fish farm, you can do this, you can do that, you should document, you should do that. The person will know that even if you don't know fish farming, you have knowledge about business. It has covered for the question about fish farming. Now you don't look totally dumb, or you don't look ignorant. That's what personal development does. So now I'm going to give you some tips or some things I do personally for my personal development. And to note, I'm not one that likes to read a lot. When I got to the university, I was like, I should have just done a course that involves solving and solving and solving alone, because I'm not a big fan of reading. I don't want to read. But you know what? I read a lot these days. It's not because I enjoy it, but because I have a reason. I want to develop myself. I want to be better than yesterday. I want, when I speak today, people will know that there's a difference from the person they listened to 3 weeks ago. So what I do is, first of all, while I was working, because a lot of people will say they don't have time to read books or do courses online. That makes sense. That is valid. So what I used to do while I was choked up with work is that on my way to work, I listened to, I used YouTube a lot then. I still use YouTube, but now I think I do more of book reading, like hard copy, than audiobooks. So I watch videos on YouTube. I can, like, for example, during the coronavirus time, I did a lot of research about coronavirus. It's not because a friend of mine teased me one time, like, and this is your coronavirus update. But I did a lot of research about coronavirus. If there is anything, the other day I went for a gathering of like minds, and the issue of ChatGPT came up, and more than 50% did not even know what ChatGPT is all about. But me, because I had ChatGPT a long time ago, I don't have a need for it right now. I don't think I would even have a need for it right now. But you know what? I read about it, used the prompt. In fact, I used a very irrelevant prompt. I tried something so irrelevant. I just wanted to have an experience of it. And that is who I am. So I think I'm actually running too fast. So what I do is, okay, what you should do rather, if you're too busy to read books, maybe you should try audiobooks. Audiobooks works a lot, and I think audiobooks are faster because all you have to do is just listen. Your work is just to listen. If along the line you hear something that is striking, you can just pause, open your notes in your phone, and write it down, type it down, then continue listening. Then, aside from listening, you can try courses. And a lot of persons might not know where to start. Maybe you can start from your professional course. Every course, every course in school, every profession has like certification, more advanced professional certification that you can get. Maybe you can also start from there. Maybe if you are an accountant, you can take ICANN, you can do accounting courses online. Make use of Coursera, Udemy. There are plenty learning platforms out there. Even Google, whatever, has program. So maybe you can even start from professional certifications. If professional certifications are too much for you, probably you are tired of school, you can try leadership. A lot of persons travel outside of the country, go to different places because of their leadership experience. You can try taking leadership courses, and in fact, everybody needs to take leadership courses because it shapes your mind. It makes you a better person. If you can take leadership courses, if leadership courses are not your thing, or maybe you've had a lot of leadership courses, you can take a course on emotional intelligence. You can take a course about like knowing yourself better. Like during COVID-19, I stumbled upon a book. Like I have a lot of books on my phone. I don't even know where I got them from. I stumbled upon a book on my phone, and you talked about personality. I was like, how did I get this book? Where did I come from? And all of those things. But when I read it, it opened my eyes more that there is more to me. I started reading more things about my personality. They have different personality types, and all of this, and all of that. Yeah, you can learn about yourself. Then another thing you can do is engage in meaningful conversation. Your conversation should not just be about parties, this, that. Engage in meaningful. Try to like stretch the knowledge of someone else. Let them stretch your own knowledge too. And as the other person is speaking, try to highlight things that they are saying that you don't know. It's very in personal development. Your listening skills is it's very, very much needed, because it's by listening that you will know what you'll find out, that you don't know certain things, and you would want to go back and learn those things. Me speaking right now, I didn't think I would have to start a podcast at any point. Wow, I didn't think I would start a podcast at any point. I remember like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, probably, I took a course on public speaking. I didn't have any intention of being a public speaker. Until now, I don't think I have an intention of being a public speaker. But I took a public speaking course. I just wanted to know what public speaking is all about. If I tell you the type of courses I've taken, it might not sound meaningful to you right now, but I know it's going to come handy. Like, for example, the public speaking course I took probably is coming handy now in my podcast. You see, I might not really be speaking to like a physical crowd, but it's helping me to speak to a virtual crowd. That is the importance of taking these courses. Engaging in all of this. But the first step in personal development, I would say, is finding who you are first. Because in finding who you are, you will know the paths that you want to go through. You will know what you want to do for yourself. It's going to shape your thought process. It's going to shape the courses you take online. It's going to shape the friends you make. And I don't intend for my podcast to be long, as I always say, or I said in the previous podcast. So I'm going to end here for today, and on the next episode I'm going to be doing a book review, and it's the book I'm reading currently. It's actually an old book. Most of you must have read it. It's a book I'm reading recently that gave me the push to do this podcast right now, to record this podcast right now, because I think I've been procrastinating for too long. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. I hope you sit back and think about yourself, think about your life, and see how you can develop yourself, develop your mind, because right now personal development will take you places. Thank you. See you in the next episode. Bye.